I just want somebody to talk Dodgers to me. Welcome back to Talk Dodgers to Me. I'm your host, Melissa Meyer, and we are back at my favorite place, Legends Attic. And we have a very special guest today. I'm so excited to bring on two-time World Series champ, NL Rookie of the Year, five-time All-Star, Silver Slugger, Steve Sax.
All right.
Thanks
nice
so much
to be
for
with
being
you,
here.
Melissa. Good to be with you.
This podcast is basically a love letter to my family, but none of them like the Dodgers. They won't even listen to my podcast.
Really? Where do they live?
All over the place. My dad was one of 8, and he is my connection to baseball, my love of baseball. But from the 8 kids, they all love baseball, but like with the time they were born, they gravitated towards different teams.
Oh,
so we've
okay.
got Yankees, Mets, Giants, Phillies, all those fans.
Yeah. Wow.
And me, the only
No
Dodger
Dodgers.
fan. So I had to create my own little Dodger community to have people to talk to.
Yeah, they look at you like you're the outcast, right? You're like the LA Dodgers.
Yeah. But before we get into this beautiful NFT that is sitting behind us, your playing days and what you've got going on now, I'd love to know how baseball started for you. Where did your love of baseball come from?
Well, I was so first of all, thank you so much for having me on today. And my love for baseball was ever since I can remember, probably 5 years old. You know, I grew up on a farm outside of Sacramento, so we had lots of area to play and run around and do what we wanted to do. And my brother and I had a dream when we were little kids to be big league baseball players. And, you know, the San Francisco Giants were our team. We grew up, you know, that was our proximity. That's the team you like. So we love the Giants. We love Willie Mays and Willie McCovey. They were our favorite players. And we just played baseball all the time. So we loved it. And we felt that was our destiny, what we wanted to do. So far-fetched, though. It wasn't going to happen. But we loved to dream about it. And that's what we did.
And you made it happen.
Yeah, we were fortunate.
Both of you.
Yes, both of us were fortunate to play in the big leagues together. We played Little League together, high school, American Legion, Babe Ruth League, all those leagues together. And then we did get to play together in some games in the big leagues on the Dodgers. My brother went on to play with a couple of different teams, as I did. But the dream was there, just to play in one game together in the big leagues, and we got to do that.
So just listeners, so you know, we've been chatting for a little bit, and I got to hear some really cool stories already, so I might have to have you share just a couple of them.
Sure.
And I think you talking about your brother's way of getting to the big leagues is very, very cool. So you already were drafted.
Right.
And trying to understand why your brother, who you said was even better than you,
Right.
hadn't been drafted yet.
Couldn't understand it. So my brother's 16 months older, 2 grades ahead of me. And, you know, my brother in Little League and whatnot was the best player in all the league. And he was the best high school player in Northern California by far. He pitched 4-1 hitters his senior year, and he hit over 600 in league play. And he was just a great all-around player. And for some reason, he wasn't drafted. Now, I was a sophomore when my brother was a senior, and we were just baffled that my brother wasn't drafted. So he went on to play college ball at Cosumnes River College, which is a junior college outside of Sacramento, and was setting records up and down the state. Same thing he did in high school. And by that time, my senior year, I was playing well in high school, and I got drafted in the 9th round by the Dodgers. And my brother, for some reason, still wasn't drafted because he could do it all. He could hit, run, he had power, you know, he had a great throwing arm, and for some reason wasn't drafted. So when the scout came to sign me, you know, to the Dodgers, I was drafted in the 9th round. And he got to the house. My mom, being the great effervescent Italian mother that she was, she just tore into the scout, you know, protecting her son. I can't believe you took this boy and not this one. David's better than Steven. What are you thinking about, you know? And the scout basically turned into a Fuller Brush salesman from Des Moines, Iowa. Frankly, Mrs. Sax, we hadn't seen him that much, and I, you know. And my mom didn't buy it, so I was off the next morning. I signed my contract in. 2 days after I was in Canada, starting my minor league career, there was a knock at the door, and I opened the door, and it was my brother with his suitcases packed full. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, after you left, Mom got on that scout so bad and forced the scout to take my brother to a tryout camp in Santa Rosa in the Bay Area. And he signed my brother right on the spot. And my brother played for 15 years of professional baseball. And that was it. My mom was the greatest scout in the world.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. And that's how my brother got to play. And he was so deserving to play, too. He played a few years in the big leagues, but he was really a good player.
I love it. I love that. Go
yeah.
Mom.
Yeah, go Mom. That's right.
A cool story that I read learning about you was when you did get drafted, you still had a game you had to play. And it was right when your dad had a surgery. And you had made a promise to him and you needed to follow through on that promise. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, when I was drafted, there was a high school game, an all-star game that I wanted to play in. And that was a week later. And so I wasn't able to play in the game had I inked my contract with the Dodgers right after the baseball season, after the high school season. So I waited a week so I could play in that game. And then I would sign that night, actually. So in the interim, the previous weekend, we had a doubleheader when I was in American Legion baseball. And it just so happens that this game that I was going to play in, my last amateur games, was a doubleheader on a Saturday at this place called Clark Field in Woodland. That's where my dad went to high school. And my dad was in the hospital, and he was going to have his open heart surgery. And I told him, I said, Dad, I have this is my last game I'm going to play in as an amateur, but I'm going to hit a home run for you tonight in this game. And I never hit home runs, and I don't know why I said that, but I did tell my dad I was going to hit a home run for him. And like I said, it was a doubleheader, and my first time up. The first pitch I saw the whole weekend, I hit a home run. And I gave it to my dad, and I wrote, Dad, I kept my promise, and I still have the ball today.
That's amazing. Yeah. I feel like even just talking to you this morning, you have really manifested a lot that you've set goals for yourself with. You know, even when you're saying you and your brother dreaming to play in the big leagues together, hitting the home run for your dad. Right now we're watching you hit that home run in the World Series and you're like, I never hit home runs.
Right.
I don't really love the term manifesting because there's so much work that has to go on behind it and preparation and all of that stuff. So how do you think about that stuff?
Well, that's what it's all about, I think. And you mentioned it in preparation. Is I am an absolute stickler on preparation. That's what I'm about, is my preparedness. And I talk about that a lot when I do a speech, is that's one of the key marks that I have, is being prepared. I think one of the greatest compliments I ever had after I was finished playing is one of the people that I played against from the Giants, a pitcher, said that he felt that I was always going to be prepared when he had to face me. And that was a great compliment. And that's what I pride myself on, is being completely prepared before I do anything. And I think, I have control over how I prepare. I have control over how I react to what happens after that. However, I don't have complete control over the outcome. That's God's issue. I believe that. I don't think it's up to me on that. It's almost none of my business.
But that's also the scary part, that the fear of the unknown is really hard for people.
I don't have fear of the unknown, no, because I know that I don't have control over that. I have control over how I prepare and how I react, and the rest is not in my hands. And so I do what I can, and the rest is up to him.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really living that right now. It's a really exciting time with the podcast and everything, that I almost have to just surrender and trust that all the work I've been putting towards the things I want are going to happen. So sitting in that is tough.
Yeah.
But also really, really exciting. Really cool.
Yeah, it's almost like when even if something gets closed down, there's a seed that just got planted over here that's going to be very successful. I think when one door gets closed down, there's something over there that just opened up.
For sure.
And that's how I think how you have to live your life. There's so many things that are going to happen in this new year that we have no idea what they are. We have no idea how great they can be if you just push one more step. And that's what I believe in wholeheartedly. I've always believed in that my whole life. And if you do the best you can, and you do it honestly, and you do it with all the intentions that you can possibly muster, then the rest is going to take care of itself.
How did you prep when you were playing baseball, and how do you prep now in all the endeavors you're doing?
Well, I do. I have the same philosophy. I think maybe that's what I got from my German father is every night before I go to bed, I have a list of what I'm going to do the next day.
Really?
I'm
Okay.
very, very regimented. I go to bed at the same time. I wake up at the same time. I'm very regimented in what I do, and I haven't really missed a workout since I was 18 years old.
Oh my gosh.
If I couldn't, like if I was sick or I was, traveling somewhere where I couldn't possibly do it, then I didn't. But as far as being able to and the ability to do it, I haven't missed a time since I was 18. And that's just the way I live my life. I live my life with a lot of intention.
I'm just like thinking about that. I have another business as a life coach. So everything you're saying is kind of what I work with people, structuring their days,
Yes.
setting intentions.
Absolutely.
And I find that structure and accountability are really what people are seeking the most.
And it goes back even further than that. I found that in all the studying that I've done and, having children myself and whatnot, is that kids that grow up with no discipline or no structure, they grow up very insecure because they don't know where the guidelines are. They don't know that it's okay to fail, to come back and fix it, to bounce off the fence of failure and come back and do it and make it right. Knowing that everything you are going to do in your life is not going to be perfect, and you're going to fail sometimes. But it's how you come back and fix it quickly, and get back on the track. I think one of the greatest things I like to remember is when Teddy Roosevelt said this. He said, "The best thing that you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing, and the worst thing you can do is nothing." And I think that's absolutely true.
Me too. Definitely.
Yeah. Now, see, failure to me is part of the process. I think that failure is absolutely critical to being successful. Not that you want to fail, but it is absolutely critical that people go through the land of failure.
Yep.
They have to learn. It's one of the fastest ways of learning.
I completely agree. I almost am like, I want to do it, and if it doesn't work out, I just want to learn.
Yeah.
I just want to learn from
Yeah.
it. I want to figure out how to do it better. And most of the time, I'm learning most from my mistakes or what I did wrong or how
Yeah.
I can change it a little bit or adjust or pivot.
People talk about the fear of failure. There's also something called the fear of success.
Yes.
Because along with success, there comes a lot of responsibility to that. And to live up to it all the time, to be able to go out there and do it again and whatnot. But I'm so lucky. Maybe it's my crass attitude or whatever it is. But I never worried about that. I always felt that it's not well, if I fail. I always felt that every time I get a chance, man, I got a great opportunity to do something. I got an opportunity to change something. And I think people need to remember that some people could absolutely change their life, incredibly change the world if they just would stay in it, stay in the game, get in the way of something that will run into you that'll be absolutely successful. Sometimes it just runs into you if you just stay in the game.
That's kind of how this all happened,
Yes,
honestly.
stay in that game.
But I want to go back to your playing days. And when you started, you kind of went into the height of Fernandomania, right?
Yes.
I would just love
I
to
came
know
right in the middle of that.
a little bit about what that was like.
It was. Hey, listen, if Morgana runs on the field and kisses you, and like she did with Fernando, you know that you've hit it. You're at the pinnacle right there. But I got to see Fernando absolutely change the whole face of the rooting people for the Dodgers in Los Angeles. He changed the face of the franchise as far as, it goes when people come out to the ballpark. I mean, the Latino community are just immersed in Fernando. From then on, it's changed. He did it single-handedly. Fernando was just incredible. He was just baffling the league. People would go up there, they knew what he was going to throw, and they still couldn't hit it. And, his composure, the way he went at it, ice water in his veins. This guy was just, it was beyond belief. It changed everything. Yeah.
That's really cool. Do you see what's going on with Shohei similar to that at all?
Yes. And this guy is like the modern day Babe Ruth, if you will.
From Japan, I heard 80% of people who visit from Japan are going to a Dodger game. And
Yeah.
we have this huge now presence.
Now
in
you have a
Japan.
global community instead of a, kind of like a national thing here with
Dodger
Fernando.
fans everywhere.
You have a global
Like
community.
that,
now.
Adam?
Yeah.
No.
And that's what it is now. Baseball is more of a global type of sport because you have, people in Japan, Korea with the KBO, the Korean Baseball Organization. You have Australia that's really opened up to baseball, and it's everywhere now. So Shohei Ohtani is that kind of a talent when you have a guy that can throw from the mound like he can, a guy has that much power. And wait till you see him run. Oh, this guy can run, and that's so underrated for him because he does it so effortlessly. Being 6'5" frame, he's got a lot of leverage in the things that he does, including running, where he's very, very swift. And he needs to get more acclaim for what a great base stealer he is, too. Because usually guys that are fast doesn't mean they're quick.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that they're quick from first to second to steal the base. And he's all that. So, he's just a special talent.
Well, I think it was really cool to see that part of his game last season, and to me, it felt like, he couldn't pitch, so he wanted to bring something else and show what he can do. And, it's cool now asking you, who stole 444 bases.
How'd you know that?
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what is it like for you to watch Shohei and what his season was like last year?
Well, I like 60. I like to watch base stealers and their technique because it's not just about being fast. A lot of it is instinct, a lot of it's technique, and I like to watch the technical part of guys when they steal bases, and I try to break it down what they're doing.
So, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for how quickly that they can get into running mode. How long does it take them to be in full speed and full running position? Because when you steal second base, when you throw your arm back, you're actually out of running sync. You've got to throw your other arm forward to sync up with your legs and little things like that. And I see him do that really well. And of course, Ricky Henderson was the best at it. And when I see guys base steal correctly, I can say, oh, okay, they're fast, but they've done a lot of work at it too. You can tell that. And so that's what I like to watch about Shohei Ohtani. He's fast, but he's very technically sound in how he steals his bases.
You know what I like to watch the most about him? He plays with this childlike joy that I just really love to watch him. It's so much fun, especially this past season. And I used to, watch him here and there when he was playing with the Angels. But just to see him on this team, the Dodger team, how he just instantly connected with everyone, it felt like. And just the smile on his face, the respect he has for the umpire, for the coaches, for the fans, for the kids he's signing autographs for.
Yeah.
I really admire that.
Quite a human being. It's amazing to me how he never gets mad. I want to see him, get mad one time because I like that kind of. I think that the fact that they've sanitized baseball, you can't even raise your eyebrows now. They'll throw you out of the game. I like the days when Tommy Lasorda would wobble out there and throw the base or talk, and all of his lunch would come on the umpire or whatever it was. Those types of things are gone when you hear him mic'd up and say some of the words he said and whatnot. But you don't see that today. I mean, you can't even question a ball or a strike. They'll throw you out of the game. But I'd love to see. When I saw Shohei actually speak English, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
During the World Series. But man, wouldn't you like to see Shohei just jump up and down and get in somebody's face? I'd love to see that.
I think we'd all be speechless.
Yeah, we would. But he's such a graceful athlete and a human being. It seems I've never met him, but I mean, I can just watch a lot of his games, and he's just quite an inspiration, and everybody gravitates to him, which is really neat. He's one of those guys that probably doesn't have to say a lot, but you follow him because you follow what he does, not what he says, and that's what a real leader is.
Yeah.
Can I nerd out on one thing real quick? Just Steve, obviously Melissa told about your base stealing prowess. Do you think that Shohei has a unique perspective, being that he's a pitcher? Is there anything that he can do?
That's a good point.
Is there anything that he can cue in on the pitcher because he is a pitcher himself, that he's able to cue and say, okay, I know how to steal now?
Yes.
And then back to you, what did you cue on as a player when you were looking? What were the things that you looked for on the field, whether it's pitcher or somewhere else, when you stole a base?
Yeah. Well, Adam brings up a great point about Shohei being a pitcher, and what did he cue on to get a little bit of advantage as a base stealer because he is a pitcher, and that is true. Pitchers go in patterns. A lot of times they'll do that. Sometimes holding the ball is the best thing that they can do. It drains the anticipation of the runner, but I'm sure Shohei can pick up things from pitchers because that's what he did, or that's what he does, and he can tell general tendencies that other people can't, simply because he is a pitcher. When I was on base going to steal, I would try to pick up things about pitchers, as I just mentioned, those issues, tendencies, patterns, and whatnot. But I would also talk to pitchers on our team and ask them, how would you do this against me if you were going against me? And I try to pick up those things. Sometimes pitchers will throw over as just to let you know they're there, and sometimes they do it with more intention. Sometimes, as I mentioned, holding the baseball will drain the anticipation of the hitter into like, oh, maybe I'll get the next pitch. So there's a lot of little things. Some pitchers, when they come to their set position, they lean a little bit. Clayton Kershaw was famous for that, for leaning a lot. He would come into his set, and I mean, he would just almost fall over. He was leaning so much, which is technically a balk, but they didn't want to call it that much. But so those are things that you can pick up as a hitter. I always like to look and concentrate on the hip of a pitcher, because my peripheral vision, I can see their shoulder. If they were going to go to the plate, they would come in. If they raised up their right foot or their left or their left foot, depending on if they're right or left pitcher, if that stayed on intact with the rubber, then they were going to go home. If I saw other movement, and so there's a lot of things that you can pick up as a base runner. Sometimes you just got lucky. So that's some of it. Yeah.
You brought up Tommy Lasorda, and earlier I was thinking I wanted to ask you some funny Tommy Lasorda stories, but I almost want to know, because we hear how crazy he was and running on the field and yelling, but what kind of manager was he? Because I'm sure he had to be serious at certain points.
And as a manager, Tommy Lasorda was he was a good manager. I think all the managers throughout baseball, as far as the X's and O's go, bringing a pinch hitter here, bringing the lefty from the bullpen there, they're all pretty much the same. They got bench coaches that they can confer with during the game. So he was right there with everybody else. But what separated Tommy was his interpersonal relationship skills that he had with the players on the team. He knew when to push the button, when to pull it back. He knew that managers treat everybody the same. Leaders don't. And he was more of a leader, like a guy like Tony La Russa, who got the most out of his players because he was so smart, and everybody knew it. Tony La Russa was an attorney outside of baseball, and everybody knew how smart he was. So he was a very cerebral approach to the game. Tommy was all rah, rah, rah. I mean, I remember one time he told me if it was for those 4 years of 8th grade, no telling how far he would have gotten. So it wasn't necessarily about that. It was about, getting in your face, knowing when to stroke somebody. The door was always open for conversation. One thing I'll tell you about Tommy Lasorda, never ripped you in the paper, ever. No matter what, he would never rip one of his players in the paper. If he had something to do like that, he'd bring you in his office and close the door and do it, and he'd do it to your face. And he did it to me a few times. And when that was over, he would give you a hug and a kiss and say, okay, bring everybody in, let's start eating now. And that's the way he was. He buried it right there. It was over, and he never brought it up again. And that's what made him really, really successful.
I respect that a lot.
Yeah.
I know you said that he would keep playing you even when you weren't playing well, because he knew that it would affect your confidence. And I think about players like CT3 who've really struggled, but he doesn't play every day. And I listen to the players talk, and consistency and timing and keeping up with it is so important. So does he not even get a chance to maybe get that back because he's not playing consistently?
You're absolutely right. And first of all, I want to say that baseball is a really, really hard game to play. It's extremely difficult to play. I felt that I never figured it out. I felt I always was searching.
You never figured it out?
Never figured it out. Never figured out how I could be as good a hitter as I ever wanted to be.
Do you want me to read you the intro again?
No, I'm serious. I think I went through stretches like other guys did where I was in a zone and you had a sense of I'm figuring it out. But it was very fleeting. It was extremely ephemeral when you came to a point where, oh, okay, I got this. Well, then guess what? Now you don't. And but you go through fits and starts of being really, really good at the top of your game, and then just saying that baseball looks like an aspirin tablet to me. It looks tiny, and it's such an intricate game. The difference between the pitcher throwing the ball and having it in his hand, and you recognize it here or here, right when he let it go. That little bit right there is a huge difference in between anticipation and actually seeing the ball before you make any movement to it, which is a critical thing to do. And so it's a very technical, intricate type of a game. And like I said, there were times when I felt, man, I'm going to hit, no matter what, I'm going to hit a bullet somewhere. And there were other times where I just don't know what the hell I'm doing up here. I mean, it's that fleeting. It's hard. It's really hard. At least it was for me. And my conversation with other players, unless you're a Don Mattingly or a Tony Gwynn or George Brett, then it may be a little bit different. But for us normal people, it was very, very difficult to play.
And I know you went through a time where you did lose your confidence, or the yips, as people say,
Yes.
but you explained this really beautiful story where your dad really helped you through that. And I wonder if you can share a little bit about that and how you might tell someone who can relate to the yips, because you can in whatever field you're in, but like how to gain your confidence or build your confidence back.
Well, the yips, as you call it, is a lot more prevalent than you can imagine. There were times where I can tell you, I won't even tell you where, I'm not, because this is a sacred thing, but there are teams where I've been at their stadium talking to some of their players, some in a broom closet, because the press was around, about inklings of guys that were going through the yips. And I would talk with them about it in private. And that'll stay private. But there are more people that go through it than you imagine. And so people think it's a mental block. People think, oh, you have a mental block about throwing. It has nothing to do with a mental block. And this was exemplified in what my father had told me. And this was the day before my father passed away. And he called me up and he told me, he says, yeah. And you have to understand that my dad was kind of like the guy in My Three Sons, Fred McMurray. He didn't say, I love you or I'm sorry, and that. You never heard that come out of him. I really never heard it at all. But he did, and he was a great dad. But he showed it in other ways, right? And he called me one day, he says, I know what you're going through, and we're very tight, our whole family's a very close family. He said, I know what you're going through, and he said, I just want you to know that one day you're going to wake up, and this throwing issue that you're going through is going to be gone. He says, because you don't have a mental block. He says you can read depth perception pretty good, right? I said, yeah. He says you can drive a car correctly. There's no problem, right? You can speak clearly. Yes. He says, well, you don't have a mental block. He says what you have is a temporary loss of confidence. He says, and one day you're going to wake up, it's going to be gone, because I went through the same thing when I played. My dad was a great baseball player. He was a pitcher, and he says he went through the same thing. And when he played, and that was the last conversation I ever had. He died the next day. And then 5 years after I retired, I was having this conversation with my mother about this conversation I had with my father that changed everything. Because what he told me is you get over this in practice, one day at a time. And you work your confidence back in practice, because that's all it is. It's a temporary loss of confidence. And so I did that, and I got my confidence back and finished the last 44 games a year with no errors, and I signed my first big contract after that season was over. And when I went to the American League, I led the league in fielding at my position. And it's all because of this conversation I had with my dad. And so I knew that if that big, strong guy could go through it, maybe I'm not so bad, right? So having this conversation with my mother after I retired, she says, I just want to let you know something. She goes, well, my parents have been together since the 5th grade.
Oh my gosh,
and they were together their whole
cute.
lives. And she says, I just want you to know that your father never had a throwing problem. Never had one. No.
He just made it up to help you?
He made it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just to show me that, hey, you know how he knows how much I revered him. And if he could go through it, then I'm not so bad.
Wow, what an amazing man
And it helped me
leader.
tremendously. Yeah, that little conversation was extremely instrumental in getting through that, when, quite honestly, there are a myriad of players that have gone through the same thing and never conquered this problem. Either had to go to another position or quit. So I was fortunate. I played another 15 years.
What a blessing.
Yes. Thank you, Lord. Yeah, got over that.
That's really beautiful. So I lost my dad when I was 16, and he is why I love baseball. I grew up, we had 3 TVs in the basement, so he could watch all the games at once. He had the ultimate man cave, installed a urinal in the basement bathroom. He used to call into the fan and talk sports with them.
Right.
So thinking about me doing this now, sitting here with you, with Oral, it's amazing. A lot of highs and lows at the same time. And I'm so sorry about your son, Captain John Sax. And I wanted to ask you about the foundation you started in his honor. You know, I feel like the way that I grieve is by honoring them. Like I said, this is like a love letter to my family. And I wonder if it's the same for you.
Yes.
If that helps you in your grief and healing, and what the foundation means to you and what it's doing.
Okay. Yes. So, yes, as you know, I lost my son Johnny, who was, the greatest son ever. And he always wanted to be a pilot. He wanted to be an aviator. He flew in a biplane, World War II biplane, when he was about 7 years old, and that was it. He wanted to be an aviator. And he accomplished that. And unfortunately, about 2.5 years ago, he was on a training mission. He was a captain in the Marine Corps. And they had double engine failure in the Osprey that he was co-piloting. And him and the other pilot and 3 other Marines lost their lives on this in the desert east of San Diego. So the foundation, what we've done is we have created the Captain John J. Sax Family Foundation. And we have honored John to raise funds to help other aspiring aviators accomplish their goals and dreams, whether it be a setback that they have or a financial situation in the family, but whatever is holding them back to become an aviator. And it's pretty widespread. It could be in the military like my son, or it could be somebody wants to be a commercial flyer or possibly an astronaut. Whatever their desire is, we want to help them accomplish that goal, their aspirational goals. And so that's what we've done. We've created it, and we had a great event last year. We're planning to do an event in the summer this year, probably a 5K run up in Northern California. Last year's event was down here in LA at the Reagan Library. It was a beautiful event. And for anybody out there watching, if you ever knew my son, you'd be absolutely in love with him. He was just the greatest person I ever met. Really was just the greatest. Yeah. Very, very committed. He was grateful that whatever he was doing, you could put your head on your pillow at night knowing that you'd be safer, that he was helping protect people. Gave everything, but he did everything for everybody else, and then he'd maybe think about himself. He didn't take himself seriously at all, but he took what he did very seriously. And he was just the best.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I love learning about him.
Yeah. And if people want to learn about him, go to Johnny Our Hero, johnnyourhero.org, and you can learn all about John. That's his website for his foundation.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And that brings us to what we're sitting in front of, this beautiful piece of art. And I know that proceeds from it are going to go to the foundation.
Yeah. Just to be clear, our company is called Babe and the Kids Limited Liability Company. We're a for-profit company. We're not a 501c3. But I'm fortunate the guys I work with is we're going to be donating portions of our proceeds to my son's foundation.
Amazing.
So, and my son's foundation is a 501c3. So we're going to be donating, and we already have. This year we made a donation. We're going to be doing more as we open it up for sale. We haven't even really opened it up for sale yet, although we have had a few of them that we sold just without even trying. But we're going to go into full mode now, and we're going to get all these things moved, and we're going to make a huge donation to my son's foundation to help out. And that's kind of what this painting is all about. It's about.
So you bought this, 10 years ago you said?
I bought this in 2008 at the All-Star Game in New York City at the Pop Art Museum in downtown New York City. And it really does personify what Babe Ruth in the middle here is all about, because this is taken from a 1922 snapshot. of Babe Ruth on a barnstorming tour. You can see him in his boater's hat. And many people have probably seen this picture. It's a very famous snapshot. So what the artist had done, Opie Otterstad, who signed it in the bottom left-hand corner, what he had done is he had taken this very iconic picture and he changed it out. So he painted it on this big mural that I bought from him and I have in my house, hanging in my house in Roseville, California. And he supplanted the faces of all the kids that were in this photo because these kids were just enamored of Babe Ruth. They wanted to be around him. And like I said, this is kind of like epitomizes what Babe Ruth was all about because he grew up in an orphanage in Baltimore, right? And so Babe Ruth is there in the middle of all these kids that are loving being around him, but the artist had changed out the faces of all the kids in the original picture and painted current Hall of Famers when they were little boys. So if you scroll through here, you can see the names. Here's Duke Snider, here's Johnny Bench, down here is Sandy Koufax, this is Cal Ripken, and you have Frank Robinson right here, and on you go. There's never been another painting like this. So I scooped it up and bought it from the artist himself. And then what we've done with the guys that I work with is we've done two things. Number one, we've digitized the painting. In other words, you can put this painting on your Apple Watch. You can put it at SoFi Stadium that's 129 yards long, and it's going to look the same no matter where you put it. No pixelation, no difference. It's going to look just like this. The second thing that we've done is that we've made it interactive. As you've seen before, you can scroll over and see the names of the faces of the people that are in here. So people can come by and they can scroll, or there's a QR code in the corner that comes up and that you can have people that can interact with it on their cell phone or their iPad. You could have hundreds of people because of the interactivity with the QR code interacting with this thing at the same time. So you could see this at a stadium. You could have it in a public square. You could have it in a bank building. I have mine in my office at home. And you can do it no matter where it is. And then you click on that after you see, the face, and a 3-minute video, up to a 3-minute video is going to come up of that person playing in the big league. So you can see, in this case, that's Hank Aaron right there. You can see who this little boy became. You can see him playing in the big leagues. It's going to show you. And these videos that you can see are right from MLB itself. And here's Babe Ruth, or Hank Aaron, going to break Babe Ruth's record. All of his stats are on the bottom here in clear fashion, so you can see all of his statistics. But this is what you get. You get to see a video of that little boy and who he is.
This is the coolest thing.
I just think it's amazing. So it's digitized and it's also interactive. You can imagine going through the faces here, and you could spend literally hours upon time seeing who these people became. I could
just spend hours watching you go around and see all the names.
Yeah.
Adam stepped out right when you put the mark on Ryan Sandberg.
Right.
Who is one of his favorites. And actually, my former boss is married to his son.
Oh, yeah, great. So if you click on the signature on the bottom left-hand corner of Opie Otterstad, he's going to come up and tell you in 2 minutes and 25 seconds the whole lineage of this painting, how it came into effect, why he painted it, what he used to paint it.
How it took 8 years?
Why it took him 8 years, and he'll explain it to you.
The idea for this piece came from an old photograph I found in books quite a few times of Babe Ruth at a train stop surrounded by a sea of children that were there to see him play. And I thought often to myself, well, what if one of those kids went on to be somebody famous, like maybe a senator or a movie actor or maybe a baseball player? And then I thought, what if all of them became famous baseball players? And so I had the idea of replacing their faces with the faces of Hall of Fame baseball players, great baseball players, that would have been after the time that he played. So there's Mickey Mantle, there's Willie Mays, there's the young Hank Aaron. The research that went into this piece took about 8 years, 3 trips to the Hall of Fame library, searching for pictures of these guys when they were kids. And along the road, I found out that Juan Marichal did not have any pictures of himself as a kid, nor did Roy Campanella's family. And so I used a photo image of Roy Campanella's son, who was a dead ringer for his dad. And then for Juan Marichal, I actually used a photo of his daughter, who at the time when she was young, was a dead ringer for her dad. So there's some little things in there make it extra fun. There's an old man in the photo, in the original photo, and I replaced his face with Casey Stengel, the great Yankees man. The thing I like so much about this piece is it speaks to the dreams we all have when we're young about growing up to be somebody, anybody. But in the case of a young baseball fan, to grow up to be a Hall of Famer. And we all idolize these athletes, but they started out as kids too, with dreams, hopes, and dreams, and they looked up to ball players like Babe Ruth, and dreamed of someday being a great baseball player. And they just happened to. The way in which the painting was completed was not with brushes, but with a palette knife, which looks like that. So looks like a bent butter knife. And so that's my tool of choice. And the painting is actually very large. And I know it hangs proudly in Steve Sax's house.
Cool.
Wow, that is giving me so many thoughts. It almost like makes me emotional just thinking about where that stemmed from him. Mm-hmm. You know, being a little kid and dreaming big.
Yeah.
And but actually turning this piece into something that it is true. All of these kids, they did follow their dreams and they did make it come true. Yeah. So it really, like, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't see something to go after, you don't know to even dream that big.
It's true. And Opie Otterstad is in the Texas Hall of Fame for sports and baseball, because he is such a great baseball artist. And he's done so many great things. And so that's why he's there featured, and you can look him up. He's done a lot of great stuff.
You know what's also cool about this? You don't need to Google anything. You can find out any answer to any question you have from all the different parts of this.
And this tells about Opie, and of course when the hitters are up, the pitchers, all their stats are on the bottom. You can see all that. So the cool thing about this is there's only 200 of these available. There's less than that now. There's probably 190 some available, 190 maybe. And once they start selling, we think they're going to go pretty quick, because nobody knows about this. And when they start seeing it, they're going to love
Talk Dodgers to me, listeners. Nobody knows. You're getting the inside scoop.
So here's the last thing about this is that we have a utility that's attached to this. And that is that whoever buys one of these, whoever owns one of these, is going to be part of a community. That community is going to meet every year, and we're going to get together. For instance, next year we're going to do a Dodger spring training. We're going to go on the field. We're going to watch batting practice. We're going to go in the suite and watch the game, and then at night we're going to be at a restaurant, a very, very nice place, and talk about the direction of my son's foundation. We're going to have all these ideas from all the owners of one of these NFTs, and they're going to tell us what they think would be the best way to raise funds for my son's foundation. So that's the tie-in, is they're going to be able to be on the team with us, so to speak, and help the direction of my son's foundation. So it's all tied in together. It's all for a great cause.
That's really cool. And even just getting different voices involved in how to move forward. Yeah. That's really cool.
Oh, one thing else I want to mention is in the business context of this is NFTs, the non-fungible tokens, have their own secondary marketplace as well. So if someday people wanted to move it, they could do that. I don't think that's going to happen very much, because they're going to want to keep it in their estate for their kids and whatnot. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to get 3 of them and just put them in my estate, because I just think they're amazing, of course.
Okay, so I'm a little green to the NFT world. Gio was helping me out a little bit and telling me about it, but can anyone purchase one of these?
Yeah, sure. Anybody can get one.
I know you have like a limited available, and that's part of it and what makes this really unique and exclusive, but can someone, any baseball fan?
Yes, and what our target audience is going to be is we want to get them in every baseball stadium. So if that's 30 right there, we also want to get them in every AAA stadium. So that could be like the first 60. Okay. We also want to get at least 40 players to get them, because we want to keep the value of these very high, of course. And then so that's 100. And then we're going to probably open up 100 to the general public, around 100 to the general public. And so that's the thing about it is when people start seeing them, they're going to start, they're going to start moving them. And I think the best place to do it is we'd love to see them to share with all the baseball fans around the country. And what better place to do that is in the big league and the AAA stadiums, even the other stadiums. We'd like to put them too. So.
Oh,
yeah.
I have no doubt that will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, that's really cool. I will be just sitting and watching this for a little bit when we're done here.
Yeah. Go through it and you can pick out, the different players you like. And people do kind of look at this thing. And for instance, I'll point out up here, look at this Dave Winfield. Look how much this looks like Dave Winfield up there. If you can go down to the right there. Mm-hmm. If you can pull that away and look at Dave, you can see the gap in his front teeth even. You know what I mean? That is such a great depiction of about a 16-year-old Dave Winfield right there. So you can really tell who some of these guys are. This is Stan Musial, and the next one over there is Nolan Ryan. Oh they kind of look the same, but about the same size in the photographs. But there's the Juan Marichal that they were alluding to down below, right there. And this is Carl Yastrzemski, right here. Right there, Carl Yastrzemski. And so on. So it's such an amazing piece that we hope to be seeing this everywhere in the United States and all the baseball stadiums.
I'm in awe over here, guys, just if you can't tell.
What's that?
I'm in awe over it. It's so cool. Yeah. I love that because I have such a curious mind that I see something and I want to know everything about it.
Yes,
so like you can
I'm the same way.
Do that instantly.
I'm the same way. When you say, well, who did that boy become and what exactly did he do? And here it is. It's right in front of you. So the whole pretext that he had about this, what brought him to think about doing something like this? Mm-hmm. What would make you think? It's just it's a genius idea to put all those faces on.
It's a beautiful idea.
Yeah, put all the faces there. So it's great.
All right. Well, there are some more things I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
And one is a really exciting thing for you being back in Sacramento mm-hmm. and working with not the Oakland A's anymore, guys, just the Athletics.
Correct. Yes. I live in Roseville, which is a suburb of Sacramento. And I'm so thankful I'm going to get an opportunity now to join the Athletics broadcast team. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing pre and post game for all the home games, and then another 15 games in the booth and radio mm-hmm. On the road, and a couple games at home. So I'm going to be able to do radio and TV for this new franchise, I call it, up in Sacramento. Of course, they've been around from Philadelphia to Kansas City to Oakland, and now we're going to be in Sacramento for at least 3 to 4 years, and that's going to be a fun thing. And the city is just a buzz. They can't wait to get this started. The tickets are already sold out. It's not a big stadium yet, but you never know in the future, right?
So, I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Are you still going to do your podcast?
Still doing the podcast. It's out now and did over 300 shows already. And I was on hiatus for a while, but was in the studio a couple of days ago, and we're continuing on. So yeah, podcast. Sax in the Morning is the name of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. I love hearing you say the beginning of it.
And the reason it's Sax in the Morning is we encourage people to listen before they start work, because it's like a shot of emotional uplifting before you start your day. 3 to 5 to 8 minutes.
I did that this morning.
Oh, you did? Did you hear it? Okay.
And you had an episode that came out today.
Yes.
And it was perfect because it's 7 minutes. It's mm-hmm. quick, but it's like a nice little boost to your morning.
Right.
I love an inspirational little pep talk.
Mm-hmm.
I give that to so many people, and I seek that for myself as well.
Yeah.
So I was just pleasantly surprised that that's what your podcast was.
Yeah, it's not a long we call them shorts. Mm-hmm. And it's also going to be featured. You can get it at Apple, Spotify, wherever you want, but it's also going to be featured on the Loot 8 platform, LOOT 8. If people there want to see it, they can download Loot 8 and go there, because we have a lot more things that I'm doing besides my podcast. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be doing baseball coaching for all the coaches and players in travel ball, in high school, in college, and in some of them are just starting the professional ranks. Depending on what level that you're in, mm-hmm. that's what we're going to be talking about. Certain issues like how to hit the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, base running techniques, fielding techniques, all these different things about sports. Kind of intricate details to get a little bit better.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
So download Loot 8, man. It's had a lot of information there.
And I can't let you go without talking to you about the Dodgers, because this is a Dodgers podcast.
Yep.
So before we get into this current team, how did you feel about our 2024 World Series champs?
Amazing.
And that team?
Amazing. And I was so glad to see it happen. People were talking about, well, they did it in 2020. No, it was 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
2020. But it was only a few games. It was short. It didn't. I felt that wasn't true. I felt it counted
Not
as much
true.
as anything else. It certainly did count. Everybody had the same rules.
Exactly.
And that counted. But now they do it again, and I was so glad to see them do that, because people talked about, well, the last time they did it, it really was in '88. But I was glad to see that they did it. So much talent, so much of a great team. The depth in pitching this year is off the hook now with the acquisition of Tanner Scott and whatnot. This team is going to be crazy good. All-stars everywhere. And sometimes, I got to tell you, it's a little bit harder for Manager Roberts to manage a team with just overflowing of talent, because the expectations are so high. If you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, what's wrong? Have you lost the locker room? All that stupid stuff people say. No, Dave Roberts is a great manager. There's a great team. Just let it breathe and let them go. And this team is, I don't know. People talk about how many games this team is going to win. I just want to focus on how few they're going to lose, because I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think this team is just stacked with talent. There's no doubt about it. But I got to tell you, the team that we have in Sacramento, the Athletics, they've got so many young players, so many players coming up through their system that they drafted that are coming to fruition now. You don't see a lot of experience, but what you do see is a lot of these guys were drafted in the first, second, third round in the last couple of years that are all up now. So this is going to be a very athletic, pardon the pun, but the team is extremely athletic too. You got guys like Lawrence Butler and Zach Geloff and Jacob Wilson. You got some really, really talented guys there. So you're going to see a maturing process for the A's, but you're going to see a lot of excitement there. It's going to be a fun team to watch.
I'm excited to watch them too.
Yeah.
I mean, my Dodgers are my heart, but
Sure, I get that.
I also like an underdog.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure they'll hear that this year. But, going on back to the Dodgers is, opening up. I think they're going to be opening up in Japan. And that's going to be a fun thing. They're really globalizing the sport, and taking advantage of the Shohei factor, which is a great thing to do. I mean, why not? But this is going to be a real exciting team to watch, the Dodgers too.
So this episode will come out and we will have already been to Tokyo. So now I'm saying I can't wait to experience the baseball culture there.
Yes.
That's my number one thing I'm excited about, just experiencing that. Of course, going to the game and eating sushi.
Oh my God.
What's going on here?
How's up, Oral? How's the heart rate, buddy?
Oral, my buddy,
darn it.
how are you?
We're on camera.
Come on in. Do you want to
right.
sit?
No, I'll stand.
All right.
Well,
Am I in frame?
Right in front of the NFT. No, that's all right. Oral, how you doing, man?
Doing good.
Good.
We're in our last segment talking about the Dodgers, and I was just going to ask him about our 2025 team. So what do you guys
Off
think?
the chart. Off the chart. Yeah, this is a chock full of all-stars and an amazing team. So much for the fans to come out and watch. There's going to be jerseys off the chart that are going to be favorite players because there's so many to choose from. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I told her too. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit harder for a guy like Dave Roberts to manage a team that has such high expectations. I mean, if you lose 2 or 3 in a row, here comes the questions, just let it breathe, let the team do what they want, and they're going to be amazing. This is going to be a fun team to watch.
If you go back through history and look at world champion records in the regular season and then break it down like by month, you'll see that they lose 7 games in a row like 3 times in a year.
Yeah. I'm not
you
surprised.
go back and look,
Yes,
3 games,
sure.
5 games, a 7-gamer, and all of a sudden, but what they do with all the rest of them is
That's
win.
right. That's right. We were talking about how hard baseball is to play, Oral, and except for guys like you that made it look easy.
Can you bring this chair over for Oral? We have like
you guys,
5 minutes
You guys
left.
continue. I want to say hi to the audience.
All right,
we love
buddy.
Melissa,
For anyone-
we love the show, and I love Sax.
Thank you, buddy.
For
Thank
anyone
you.
listening and not watching, another Dodger legend, Oral Hershiser, just walked in the room.
The door's banged. You think, well,
And
but if it's Oral, it's okay, right?
That will never get old.
Yeah. So Oral was such a great teammate too. He was such a great teammate, and he is just what people see out there in LA and
Yep.
see him, listen to him. You know, he's so knowledgeable about the game. He's just a great human being. He's been that way. I met Oral when he came off the bus from Bowling Green in 1979 in Clinton, Iowa, and been the same guy ever since I met him. Just wonderful human being.
What other teammates do you keep in touch with?
Well, it's great to be down here in Los Angeles because I get a chance to, you know, see or talk to the guys at least around here, especially when there's events at Dodger Stadium. You know, we have reunions and whatnot, and so that's a fun thing to do. You know, with social media today, it's a lot easier to stay in touch than it was when we first retired. But I stay in touch and keep in touch with a lot of the guys, and they're always your brothers. They're always guys on other teams, always your brothers. It's always going to be the same. It's such a special bond that we have with one another because quite often we spent more time together than you did with your family, and it's just you can not talk to somebody for 5 years and then you see them and you're finishing each other's sentences again.
Those are the best friendships.
Yeah, it's great. And I don't miss baseball at all.
Really?
No, I don't miss it. I loved it, and it was a great thing, and it gave me everything, so many things I have in my life. But I don't miss it because I left it all on the field. And I think that's the way it should be. When people ask you, do you miss baseball? The answer should be no, because you got all of it out of what you wanted to do. And that's the way it should be. However, I miss the heck out of my teammates like this all the time. And that's where the brotherhood and the fellowship come in, is that never wanes. And that's the most special part, I think, is I still get to see my teammates.
Well, the first time I met you, I got to see a little mini reunion with you, Steve Garvey, and Oral Hershiser. And as a Dodger fan, that's pretty damn cool.
yeah, those guys are all great. And, you know, Garvey is like, you know, he's like an older brother for me. He's always been a wonderful person. Same thing. You can put him in the same category. Him and Oral, they're just great people. That's the greatest thing about them. And secondarily, they were pretty good baseball players too. But they're great people. Yeah.
My last question, I'm wondering what players you're excited to watch this season.
Oh, I mean, forget it. There's so many great players. You know, I want to see what Shohei does again now that he's going to pitch. I think that's very much anticipated. There's a lot of great young players. You know, the A's got a few young players in their own right. Lawrence Butler, you're going to hear a lot about this guy.
Okay.
Lawrence Butler is a fantastic talent. Jacob Wilson and Geloff are the middle two, and shortstop, second baseman, uber talented young players. You're going to hear a lot about these guys as well. You know, and I want to see. There's a myriad of players in the Dodger team. You know, they're really expanding the globe when you talk about the players they sign out of Japan and everywhere. So I want to see how all the players do from other countries as well. And, you know, the Yankees, and there's always exciting to see what Aaron Judge is going to do, too, because he's fun to watch. But, hey, we're going to get to see Mike Trout again, too. He's healthy.
I'm very excited
can't wait to see
about
that.
and I hope he stays healthy. I really, really do. I hope, you know, there's so much talk about Aaron Judge dropping that ball that I'm wishing the best for him.
Yeah.
I really do. I wish the best for all the players. Our players on other teams. I'm excited to watch Cody Bellinger play for the Yankees.
Yes.
I know his dad played for the Yankees at one point. I'm excited to see Blake Snell.
Yes.
I feel like we've been kind of in talks with him for
2 times he's
long
been a Cy
time.
Young Award winner. Yeah.
And maybe again.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's got the goods. There's no question about it. You talk to players around the league and about stuff and what kind of stuff they got, he's always in the top 5.
Yeah.
He's got great stuff, consistently throughout the game. You know, he's got great stuff he works with,
Well, Steve, I feel like I could keep talking to you all day.
Yeah,
So I hope you'll come back.
Yes, and thank you for having me. It's
But
been great. I've
Thank you
enjoyed
so
it.
much. Thank you so
Yes.
much for coming on.
My pleasure.
And this was a blast.
Yeah,
and we'll
liked it.
put all the information for the NFT, your son's foundation.
Thank you.
And how everyone
Appreciate it.
can listen to your podcast and just get all the scoop.
Yeah, if they want to go to check out the NFT, they can just go to Babe and the Kids, babeandthekids.com, and they can get all the information. They can even sign up on a wait list there if they wish.
All right,
Okay.
and guys, let us know your favorite part of this episode.
Thanks for having me,
We will see you
Melissa.
next time.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.